Greetings and sanitation, film fans. Thomas Ella here. Since today is the birthday of iconic actress and singer Judy Garland, I decided to do my top 5 favorite Judy Garland movies. Now, obviously, I can't really do a top 10 because haven't really seen all of her work, but I have seen some interesting films that she appeared in, and of course, she's in one of my favorite movies of all time. So we're gonna get to that later on, but. With that being said, here's my top 5 favorite Judy Garland movies. Alright. Coming in at number 5 is Babes on Broadway. Now, this is like the third installment in the Backyard musical trilogies that first began like in the 40s and all. And in it, Babes on Broadway follows a restaurant singer named Tommy Williams, played by Mickey Rooney, who's on the quest to make it on Broadway. So like you got Penny Morris, played by Judy Garland, who is also a singer and teams up with Tommy to produce a show that will benefit orphan children. So like Penny doesn't know that Tommy is actually the only one who will benefit from the show. So Tommy ends up struggling to maintain his friendships and his morals as he strives for fame and fortune in the very big city and all. Now, Jude Garland and Mickey Rooney, they were really close friends back in the day. Can't remember if they were dating or not, but I remember like reading that how close they were and all. And I believe they did a few other stuff together and all. They both had really great chemistry, and this was a pretty decent movie. I mean, I remember watching it on TCM, and it's a cool film. It has some interesting music in it. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen any of the Babes trilogies, like they're not, of course, the best trilogies of all time. I mean, not really, but they're still. I've seen a couple of the other film versions, and like Babes on Broadway actually got released in 1941. Then, of course, there was Babes in Arm, which was released in 1939. Then there was Strike Up the Band, which was released in 1940. So, yeah. I think out of all of them, Babes on Broadway is actually the better one. But they're all pretty decent films. Coming in at number 4 is a film called The Pirate. Now, The Pirate stars Judy Garland as a character named Manuela Alva, who's like who's unhappily engaged to Don Pedro, played by Walter Selzak, who's the mayor of her town. So, like, when a circus ends up arriving, she's enchanted by like by the former Seraphim, played by Gene Kelly, who's likewise who's pretty much like smitten by her. So, like, the mayor tries to evict the circus from town, but Seraphim turns the tables after realizing Don is Makako, who's an ex pirate in hiding. So, like, Seraphim learns that Manuela dreams of Mokoko. He adopts the discarded identity to woo her and all. Now, Jake Kelly and Jude Garland, they had some pretty good chemistry in this movie. Now, I also saw this film on TCM one time, and it's a pretty decent film. It's a cool adventure flick. It's a romance. And this one also got like released in 1948. And also Walter as Don Pedro is pretty good. Yeah, pretty good cast members. And Judy Garland and Gene Kelly, they both had really great chemistry. And they had a good performance in the film as well. So, yep. Coming in at number 3 is Meet Me in St. Louis. Now, the film is a MGM romantic musical film that like focuses on 4 sisters, and of course one of them is played by Judy Garland. So like on the film ends up spotlighting on the sisters' educations in the ways of the world. So like which ends up including but isn't like limited to learning about life, love, courtesy of prototypical boy next door, and so like in the so it's pretty much like a romance, and it's a musical as well. Now this is like MGM and Judy Garland, of course, have a great relationship together. They've of course started. Of course, Judy Garland did appear in a like a classic MGM film. But maybe in St. Louis actually got released in 1944 and was directed by Vincent Minnelli, who's of course who is the husband of Judy Garland. And by the way, Judy Garland and Vincent were the parents of famed singer Liza Minnelli. So there's a little tidbit for you there. And yeah, maybe in St. Louis is pretty decent film. You know, it's probably a movie that still holds up today. You also had Margaret O'Brien in this, Mary Astor. You also had Lucille Bremer. Some pretty good supporting players, but it's Judy Garland who really was the spotlight of this whole movie. And yeah, Vincent Minnelli, he was a pretty good filmmaker back in the days, and he's directed some pretty decent stuff. And Meet Me in St. Louis is one of them. So if you guys never seen Meet Me in St. Louis, definitely give that one a shot. It's pretty much a 40s classic. All right, coming in at number 2 is the original A Star Is Born. Now, of course, when we think of A Star Is Born now, we think of the of last year's film with Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper, of course, directed that one. But there was, of course, other Star Is Born films that came before that. And one of which was one that starred Judy Garland and James Mason. And, of course, Judy Garland played the Lady Gaga type role, while James Mason played the Bradley Cooper type role. I really like the original. Like, out of all the Star Is Born films, I think right now the Bradley Cooper one is more popular because it got released last year and all. But if you guys never checked out the original Star Is Born, the one with Judy Garland and James Mason, I'd say give that one a shot, and you can see how different that one is with the from the remake. And also, there's another one that got released in the '70s with Barbra Streisand, and yeah, Star Is Born been remade tons of times. And this is actually a remake too, because there was like another Star Is Born that got released in 1935. But out of all of them, I think the one with Judy Garland and James Mason is the better one. It has some pretty good music, and it shows how great Judy Garland is with songs, and her performance with James Mason really carries this film perfectly. Yeah, definitely check out the Judy Garland and James Mason Star Is Born. I think you'll appreciate that one. Alright, what is my number one favorite Judy Garland movie? I mean, is that even a obvious one? I mean, come on. The best Judy Garland, my favorite Judy Garland movie of all time is pretty much my favorite movie of all time. I'm saying that now. One of these days, I'm probably going to do my top 10 favorite movies of all time, and spoiler, this is going to be in that list. My number one favorite Judy Garland movie of all time is obvious. That is The Wizard of Oz. I mean, it's the movie that really put Judy Garland on the map. And The Wizard of Oz is... I mean, I know there's, like... I remember hearing crazy words that, when Judy Garland was shooting Wizard of Oz, it was, like, torture. Like, I remember reading that she had to, like, smoke, tons of cigarettes to stay skinny, and there was, like, some incident with her and the Munchkins. I mean, that stuff there, like, I understand the on-set drama was probably horrible, but that doesn't take away of how great this movie is. I mean, it's the best movie of all time. It's iconic. It's a timeless classic. You got, Margaret Hamilton as the Wicked Witch of the West is great casting. I thought Margaret Hamilton played that role perfectly. You had Ray Bogler as the Scarecrow. Jack Haley was the Tin Man. Burt Law as a Carrie Lion. The Munchkins are perfect. Come on, the Lollipop Girls. Who didn't love the Lollipop Girls? This movie has some of the best music of all time. And Judy Garland, I mean, she of course sang the classic song "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." That's an iconic song right there. And I believe that song probably won or got nominated for Best Original Song. I can't remember. I know for a fact Wizard of Oz did not win Best Picture because Gone with the Wind did. Gone with the Wind was cool, but how the heck does that win over the Wizard of Oz? I mean, I know both movies are actually from the same director, but I'd still say Wizard of Oz is a better film than Gone with the Wind. It's just great, and Judy Garland, her as a Dorothy Gale, she played that role perfectly, and yeah, and her chemistry between the Scarecrow, Lion, and Tin Man, their chemistry steals the whole film, and also her, not to mention Dorothy's chemistry with Toto. I mean, who didn't love that on-screen duo? Just a classic. I mean, believe it or not, I actually saw The Wizard of Oz on the big screen not once but twice. Once, I actually saw it on the big screen back in 2013 during a IMAX 3D re-release event. Then I was able to watch it on the big screen again this past February at a Phantom event special that they were having. If you guys never seen The Wizard of Oz on the big screen, like if you're in a theater nearby that's showing The Wizard of Oz on a big screen at like the movie theaters or whatever, do yourself a favor, check The Wizard of Oz on the big screen. You'll be glad you did. I mean, of course you can always watch Wizard of Oz when it comes on TV and stuff, but man, watching this on the big screen is just a enjoyable event. And also Wizard of Oz was the first movie I ever bought from Blockbusters, and it's just one of the greatest films of all time. I mean, this is actually the movie that made me fall in love with movies. I mean, it's awesome how they went from how this movie went from being black and white to second, then going to being colored. I thought that was some of the best work I've ever seen. And yeah, if you guys still never seen The Wizard of Oz, come on, what are you waiting for? I mean, it's the greatest motion picture of all time, and you'll be glad you did if you've seen it. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. Number 5, Babes on Broadway. 4, The Pirate. 3, Meet Me in St. Louis. 2, A Star is Born. 1, The Wizard of Oz. Now, there's gonna have been a few other stuff that I have seen and some I haven't. I think I've seen Summer Stock one time. She was in Easter Parade, which is actually a pretty good film. Don't think I've ever seen In the Good Old Summertime. I probably haven't. I think I've seen the Harvey Girls. Let's see. Girl Crazy, another Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland film. The Clock. I believe her last film was Judgment at Nuremberg. And I think she passed away at a very young age. I think she passed away at age 47, if I'm not mistaken. Such a tragic loss, because she was an icon. You know, she was a great singer, she was a great actress, and by the way, I'm actually really looking forward to see that Judy Garland biopic with Renee Zellweger. I think that looks great, and cannot wait to see that one. But anyway, let me leave you guys. What are some of your favorite Judy Garland films? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is Thomas L. signing off.